Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world and whenever you are tuning into this video. My name is James Porcelli, and welcome to another very special edition of the Ruthless Talk podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, it is one of those days. Today is a PLE review day. That is right. Today, we talk all about WWE Bad Blood. And boy, is there a lots to talk about. We're going to talk about Hell in a Cell, some big returns, Dominic Mysterio hanging from a shark cage. Yes, that indeed happened, guys, if you watched this last night. And a bunch of other stuff that we will talk about in the show, reviewing everything match by match, segment by segment, minute by the minute. Now, as you could see, unfortunately, Brian, my co-host, is unavailable to do this review show for today. He has some things, family things to attend to, so he will be back with me on Thursday. We will talk about Monday Night Raw, the fallout from Bad Blood from this pay-per-view, and he will give his thoughts and his takes on this PLE when that time comes. However, for today, ladies and gentlemen, I did not come alone. No, I did not. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are bringing back a familiar face on the Ruthless Talk podcast, on the Ruthless Talk studio. He is an Atlanta native. Because Bad Blood was in Atlanta, Georgia last night, I had to bring a fellow Atlanta native. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the Ruthless Talk studio, Jalen Johnson. Jalen, what is up, bro? Good to see you again, man. How are you, bro?
I'm good. Hey, look, we're to talk about this Bad Blood pay-per-view. I got a lot of thoughts about last night for sure. It was had its highs and had its lows, so I definitely got some things to get off my chest today. But how you doing,
bro?
Man?
I'm good, man. Hey, listen, same old shit, different day. That's all I could say. A little bit, mixed feelings after what happened with the New York Mets earlier. Like we spoke about it earlier before we got on here, before we started this show. But hey, you know what? Series is tied 1-1. As a Mets fan, I ain't gonna complain, man. Headed back to New York, I'm feeling pretty damn good. So, but thank you so much, Jalen, for being a part of the show. It's always a pleasure having you on. And for those of you who are listening as well as watching the show, I will put links in the description down below for you guys to check out Jalen Johnson and his content, both on Instagram as well as TikTok, for you guys to go check him out. Definitely give him a follow. Definitely give him a follow, like everything, comment, all of that stuff on his platforms, and go check out his stuff. With all that being said, let us dive straight into it. Let's not waste any time. There's a full pay-per-view to discuss. We're going to dive straight into this show. So, Bad Blood live in Atlanta, Georgia. Let us start off with the very first thing that happened in this show. This was the hosts of Bad Blood. You had Jade Cargill, you had Naomi, you had Naomi, Jade Cargill, and Bianca Belair that started off this show. Of course, just hyping up the crowd, getting everybody introduced to the crowd. There's a lot of also legends, wrestling legends, and also other fellow hip hop artists like Quavo, of course, Metro Boomin. You also had wrestling legends like Scott Steiner. I believe. Who else was there that I'm forgetting off the top of my head here? DDP. Yep. DDP, I believe, was there. Mickey James as well. And that's as well I can only think of in regards to that. But as well as, again, I'm sure it'll come to my mind once we go along in this show. But many other familiar faces, wrestling legends that were a part of the show last night. X-Pac, that's right. X-Pac was also there as well.
Yeah, he was there.
As well as many other wrestling legends, of course. But let's dive into this first matchup, man. First matchup was Hell in a Cell. This was CM Punk Phil Brooks against Drew McIntyre. And you want to talk about a match that delivered every single expectation? This match did just that, as this was chaos ensued right from the jump from this matchup. You had steel steps, you had wrenches being used, and vice versa, both on Punk as well as Drew McIntyre. Of course, blood chaos, everything that you name it, everything about this match definitely build up to its hype for sure. But towards the end of this match, of course, you had Drew McIntyre. He had a bag of beads, similar beads that CM Punk has with his bracelets. That this has mainly been the nucleus of this entire storyline. And he pretty much dumps it over Punk's head. He goes to hit a Claymore. Punk counters, and Drew McIntyre ends up hitting back first onto the steel steps. Punk ends up collecting all of these beads, or most of these beads that were left on the floor. He shoves them in Drew McIntyre's mouth, pretty much payback after a couple weeks ago, as Drew McIntyre did the same thing. Picks up Drew McIntyre. He's got a steel chain around his knee, uses that steel chain to hit the go to sleep, the GTS, goes for the cover, or falls into the cover. 1, 2, 3, and CM Punk wins this match, man. And not only that, but they let everything breathe. Punk leaving the cage, leaving the Hell in a Cell structure, slamming the door shut, knowing that that chapter of his life is pretty much done. It's in the rearview mirror. He's trying to walk up the rampway, and he's pretty much done. He can barely even hold himself up. He can barely stand. You got Drew McIntyre, who's got this devastating look on his face as now he's came back to consciousness. Punk is asking for a phone. He's like, I got to call my wife. I got to call my folks, whatever. And you got Punk again, continuing to walk up the rampway. And again, just really letting this breathe, man, which I really, really loved. I love when they let things breathe, especially when it's the climax, the end of a said storyline that really made this feel like a true big deal. Like these two have been literally going at it for an entire year now. It's been arguably, you can say, the feud of the year, maybe for WWE. Shoot, maybe you could say for the entirety of professional wrestling of this calendar year. But man, I can't praise these two enough of what they did, and I'll speak more about it later on. But Jalen, your thoughts, man. And I know this was a very, interesting discussion about this match. Some people thought that this should have been in the main event. Some people, of course, we know what the main event was and what happened in the main event later. But overall, Jalen, your thoughts in regards to Punk and McIntyre and this Hell in a Cell match to kick off the show.
I think I liked where they went with this, because this out of all the matches that night probably had the best story. And it had the story that made the most sense. I know once you get to that third or fourth match in a storyline against people, it kind of runs its course. Yeah. So I kind of think I go back to how Seth and Finn were last year, and they kind of just had them going back and forth, and it was just all right, we're getting kind of tired of this. Yeah. Drew and Punk find a way to make this story better, and there are so many fine details. And I know a lot of people don't like CM Punk because of the Jack Perry situation, the AEW, and all those things. But just watching them wrestle, it wasn't some high spot thing every time. It was just it made it feel like two people that hated each other. And I'm gonna do the absolute most to either embarrass you, or like CM Punk said, I might have to kill you. They took it to that extreme. Yes. I even saw the picture afterwards where I think Drew got hit with the toolbox and he had the 16 stitches on the top of his head. So it's when you're willing to go that far to tell a story, and like you said, Punk walking out, closing the door, and then passing out basically up the ramp, and you can see kind of Drew in the shadows, just that is what that's the kind of storytelling you need. And there are some other matches tonight that happened in the night that could have used that storyline too. But this one right here, this was my match of the night. And to start off that high, and then what followed after it, I think the night kind of went down as it went, and I think that was maybe an issue. But for me, this is the best match of the night. I want them to close this chapter. I want both of them to go do other things, possibly get Drew maybe on SmackDown or something to get him away from Punk.
Yes, yes,
and just do something different.
Absolutely.
But I loved it. I loved even them starting. I first was man, this needs to be the main event. But to start off the night like that, it just set the precedent for what you were supposed to get. The night kind of didn't live up to that throughout, but it was solid at the end. But this was definitely my favorite match on the card.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. And of course, if it wasn't for, a said individual that, again, we're going to get into later, because I've been screaming about these two, Jalen. I'm sure you've heard about it by now, is that these two should have honestly, if it were up to me, and again, of course, depending on certain circumstances, these two honestly, and of course, like the pay-per-view was meant for this said match. Of course, if you know the history with Bad Blood, and many, many years ago, this was the setting of the very first Hell in a Cell match. I believe it was with Shawn Michaels and Undertaker. That was the debut of Kane back in 1997. So it would have been fitting for this match to end the night. But of course, what we knew later on, you can kind of understand, at least business wise, in regards to it. But yeah, man, I mean, both of these dudes, and just how, again, not just the story that they've played on television, but also on social media and many other different aspects to make this feel as real as it gets, right? It's just, again, and even in the matchup itself, Drew McIntyre, like trying to get the steel steps into the ring, and he's like really overselling the back, just little things like that made this match just go up tenfold pretty much. And, again, even something as simple as a bracelet, right? To where if it's done properly, it could be so damn effective and so just impactful. So it was done tremendously well. And I agree with you as well in regards to these two. Obviously, now there's nothing else that honestly needs to be told. And at this point, because if we continue to maybe drag this along with these two on the same brand, it would just feel like, how else could you go further and beyond than what these two did inside Hell in a Cell? And I'll be honest with you, Jalen, if I were to go back and remember a lot of these Hell in a Cell matches, the last Hell in a Cell match that I really think that this was as impactful as it was, I would go back to, what was it, WrestleMania 28, which was Triple H and Undertaker inside Hell in a Cell. That was, if that was honestly the last Hell in a Cell match that I would say that truly lived up to the build as well as the expectation. Because in regards to it over the years, I mean, of course, Vince McMahon, I guess, has a slight blame for it over the last 10 plus years, to where we just get Hell in a Cell matches just thrown and just having Hell in a Cell matches. But with this felt right. This felt like it needed to be done between these two. And again, just everything, how it was symbolized, like you said too, like CM Punk closing the door, knowing that that chapter of his book in regards to his WWE career is pretty much done. And who knows, does he go along to fight Gunther for the world title? I guess we'll find out sooner rather than later. But yeah, as well as for Drew McIntyre, right? I mean, obviously, win or lose, nobody was going to lose anything from this matchup at all. But for Drew McIntyre's sake, man, the only way that you could truly make this like a new chapter for Drew if he goes over to SmackDown. Because I said this to Brian, and I said this on the podcast just not too long ago, just from our last episode. Like, Drew McIntyre's not taking that world title because Gunther's going to have that probably going into WrestleMania. Who knows? But he's not letting go of that title anytime soon. And if he's not involved in the world title in some shape or form, like, what is he doing there? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's going to go fight for a mid-card championship. That would just feel like a consolation prize for Drew. You know what I mean? And, you know, he would go maybe, I guess, feud with Jay, who has the mid-card championship, you know, as of right now. And he's already had his beef with Jay in the past. It's just, what else is there for Drew McIntyre to do on Monday Night Raw? And who knows of how they want to spin it, but having Drew maybe trying to maybe get vengeance of Punk, like, hey, I'm not done with Punk, I want a rematch, whatever. And then maybe Adam Pearce is like, nah, like, this has got to end. Like, you guys are going your separate ways. And to do that, Drew, I'm sending you over to SmackDown, maybe some type of trade or something. That's something that I would do to make the brand splits still have meaning as well as things making sense. So hopefully that's the case. And who knows what's going to happen tomorrow night on Raw. But I agree with you, man. Match of the night. And like you said, as the night goes on, it is was very hard for these performers to top what just transpired to start the show off, for sure. And speaking of those matchups, let's just dive into it, man. So overall, again, much praise to Drew and much praise to Punk. And for 9 months, man, of that feud to culminate like that, just really good stuff overall. So let's get into this next matchup. Next matchup, we have Bayley versus Nia Jax. So again, like I mentioned, both of these ladies were put in such a piss poor spot after what just transpired in Hell in a Cell. Again, the matchup overall was okay. It was decent.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it was anything bad. The only really awkward spot was that Nia Jax tried to do a Hurricane spot, and like Bayley had to like really oversell it and launch herself. Outside of that, I mean, the matchup was fine. I mean, it was no different than their matchup at SummerSlam, and there was really no difference with the matchup from last night. However, things really kicked into high gear when Tiffany Stratton came out. The referee was knocked down in this match. I believe Jessica Carr was the referee that was officiating this match. So as the referee is knocked out, Tiffany Stratton comes out. She takes out Bayley, and she's thinking about cashing this briefcase in. And Nia Jax just does her best Undertaker impression and just sits up, looking up at Tiffany Stratton, and they're bickering and they're arguing. Bayley tries to take advantage. I believe Nia Jax hit she hit a Samoan drop, I believe from like the second rope, I believe it was. Yes. And then she finished it off with the Annihilator finisher. You know, of course, the Yokozuna, I like to call it, the Annihilator, pinning Bayley's shoulders to the mat with her arms crossed. 1, 2, 3. And Nia Jax retains this championship, and Tiffany Stratton's got this sour puss look on her face, pretty much pissed off as things continue to get what's the word I'm looking for? I guess heated between Tiffany and Nia Jax, as the friction is definitely continuing to build and further between these two. So, Jalen, I'll let you start. What are your thoughts, man, about this match between Nia Jax and Bayley, and another tease of Tiffany Stratton cashing in this briefcase?
The honest thing I can say is, to me, this match was clunky. It was very clunky. It was very. It's one of the things, like, I saw the vision. I saw what you guys were trying to do, but I just don't think that either it wasn't rehearsed right, or y'all just don't have that kind of chemistry in the ring together.
Yeah.
And it kept showing throughout the match. I saw Nia was trying to hit a lot of big spots, and for effort for even trying to do it. Mm-hmm. I saw somebody talk about this on TikTok this morning. Nia's not meant for those long matches. Because you could tell at some of those points that she was a little winded and she was like tired. And this is not just like a weight thing. This is just she doesn't have that many matches that often. So you're not putting your body in that position to last that long in a match. Bayley's one of those people that can wrestle forever, literally, and still give you everything. One thing I did notice, they both seemed kind of disengaged. Like, there was never a time in that match where I felt like Bayley truly wanted to win the match. Like, it didn't give me like
urgency.
That Bayley that I've seen before. It was almost like they were waiting too much on that Tiffany spot. Like, they were just like, okay, well, this is happening now. Now let's kick it into high gear and try to finish. But the match overall, I think it could have been better. The Hurricane spot was very awkward, but I understood what Nia was trying to do. I just don't think that was something that probably should have been done.
Yes, yeah.
I do love her. I do love her doing the small jump off the second rope. I always thought that's a dope thing that she always does, because I like when she shows up that power game. The Annihilator, she's doing that great now. I think that is a perfect finisher for her. It makes a lot of sense. Tiffany they're building her up, because if you could hear how they screamed when her Tiffy time thing started, and you could just tell that she's going to move over, obviously, to be in the face, I guess, when all this is over. But you could just tell how much they love her. And that, to me, the match kind of seemed like it was more about her than more about Nia and Bayley.
Right, yeah.
And that's why I think that I'm kind of glad Naomi didn't end up getting in that spot, because I don't need her to be in that spot of, well, this is just about Tiffany, not about you as well. So I like Nia. I think she's had a solid run so far, but she needs to have that one definitive match that puts her over the top.
Yeah. No, and it's funny you mentioned Naomi, right? Like I would have honestly been fine with Naomi if she were to be in this place as long as there were something to catapult her when this was all said and done, right? Like what are
Right.
you doing now with Naomi? Because obviously if you were to put her in this spot, she obviously wasn't going to win this championship.
Right.
But if you were to like, okay, what now? Like give her some shine because I've been waiting for this company to give Naomi something and they
Mm.
just for some odd reason they just don't want to do it. I don't know what it is. I don't know if WWE is just comfortable with her or they're just relying her to just always be like just the fall gal and to be like, "Oh, who can we put somebody over who needs to take a big victory over a said person up? We got Naomi who's a 15 plus year vet, right?" So
Right.
I don't know what it is. This I thought would have been a really good way to give Naomi a little bit of shine, but also catapult her to something else once this matchup was all said and done. And you can still
Right.
do everything involving Tiffany and Nia Jax, if that makes sense. Because Bayley,
Mm.
as much as listen, I like Bayley, I love her to death, but I just after what transpired at SummerSlam and now you're doing this again at another PLE. And if I were to be honest with you, Jalen, we're going to get into a said title match coming up for Monday Night on Raw and a certain segment that happened in this show. But
Mm-hmm.
this would have been perfect for Gunther and Sami Zayn to be on this show. If there was any match that I would to honestly replace, this was
Mm-hmm.
the match and maybe put this on SmackDown. I'm sorry,
You
because
know
go
what's
ahead.
so crazy, and I hate to cut you off. I
No, you're
was
good.
literally telling one of my employees today at work that I was like, Raw had no match yesterday that had any implications to what's going to happen Monday. Like usually Raw is a Fallout show, and like the show afterwards is the Fallout show. There's
Yeah,
no Fallout tomorrow for whatever just happened to on that Bad Blood. There's no Fallout for that
right.
because Gunter had a weird segment, but like I said, I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about that at some point
Yeah.
with Goldberg out of all people. There's no like nothing felt like any high stakes happened. Like everything literally felt like it was all for SmackDown. Like this to me was a
Yeah.
SmackDown PLE basically.
Right. Yeah,
You
no, yeah, absolutely. By the way, this matchup in length, I forgot to mention this too, was 14 minutes was Nia Jackson Bailey. Also, the Hell in a Cell match, that was 31 minutes in length to start the show. So yeah, I think
mm,
as I was gonna say, it's funny you mentioned that like in regards to Nia Jackson, like the length of her matchups. I mean,
mm,
usually I think the most I've seen Nia Jax go in a match has been around that, I want to say maybe 12 to maybe 13-minute time frame, maybe a little
mm,
bit more. But yeah, no, I agree in regards to it. I mean, I didn't see enough bad to say that this was a bad match, but you can tell at
mm,
times there was something just off in
right,
regards to this matchup. And yeah, and like you said, like it's honestly very well said in regards to it. If Tiffany, outside of Tiffany Stratton and the briefcase, this match, and this is what I mean about just putting this matchup on SmackDown, because like the real engagement with everybody is Tiffany Stratton in this briefcase. And I don't
right,
know if they plan on waiting for Charlotte Flair to get clear because Jalen, I'm telling you, I can see this coming and I'm dreading it. And I just again for some I thought that they were going to clear her on and bring her back at SummerSlam because people like
mm,
Andrade as well as Ric Flair and many other people said that she was just another step closer from getting cleared, but yet
mm,
she's still not getting, or she still hasn't been cleared by medical doctors and trainers or whatever. To where, so yeah, I mean, they were saying like she was ahead of schedule. So I'm thinking she's returning at SummerSlam. It's a big set event. That wasn't
right,
the case. And I'm guessing, honestly, Jalen, and I would say if she was ever going to return, it's probably going to be the Rumble. I would
yeah,
probably say.
that would
That
make
would
the
make
most sense.
yeah, exactly. To where, and I don't know, she might win the motherfucker. I don't know. I would be, I don't know what I'd do. I'd be like, why? I'll just be like, just why? Like, why are we doing this? But
Right,
I'm telling you, man, they want to set up Nia Jax and Charlotte, Queen versus Queen. I can see this company doing something like that. And
right,
then with Tiffany Stratton, like you said, because this crowd loves her. I mean, you've seen and heard all across the globe when she goes to Australia and when she goes to France and all these places. And of course, here in the States, like, people love this gal. And the thing is, too, with Tiffany Stratton, I would love for this woman to be a face, but not now, because I still think that there's so much still left to be done for Tiffany as a heel, because that character as a heel is just fucking gold if it's done right. And who knows what they do in regards to this briefcase and how long they continue to drag this out. And we'll see where it kind of goes. But yeah, the matchup itself was, again, it was, I don't know if I can say it was decent. It was an average to okay match, because again, there were some hiccups in this match. And again, Bayley, as much as I adore Bayley, you just don't need Bayley in this position to tell a Tiffany Nia Jax story, because we've seen the match. Nobody really truly cared about the matchup at SummerSlam. So there was really no need to really do this at a PLE type of setting. You could have just done this on SmackDown, put Gunther and Sami Zayn. That way you have the world championship on this card, and then kind of just go from there. But so, yeah. And again, of course, I mean, I also have to put in consideration that these ladies were also put in a really tough spot after the Hell in a Cell match. Cause like, I don't know, whoever was being put after that match was going to be put in a tough spot in regards to crowd engagement, you know? So yeah, it's just, I mean, Nia Jax wins, no shock. And then we'll kind of see where we go with Tiffany in this briefcase. You know, does she cash it in? When did they do this babyface turn? And then you got Charlotte Flair in the fucking woodwork. So who fucking knows, man. By the way, throughout the night, I think they went into some like suite to where, again, all the celebrities and wrestling legends were a part. Also the hosts, I think host Jade, Bianca, and Naomi had like a little like interview from that little suite. Again, Chelsea Green walked in because she freaking is pretty much BO at this point after the dumpster match. Again, Chelsea's like, she's like, come on, Piper, let's get out of here. It's like, wait, no, she doesn't have to leave. Why does she have to leave? And Piper's like, yeah, I'm just going to stay here. And then Chelsea Green just takes off. Chelsea Green, I can't emphasize this enough. Chelsea Green is fucking fantastic. She is legit, guys, the most polarizing star in this women's division. And Jalen, you tell me in regards to Chelsea Green, man, like, how are you feeling about Chelsea Green? Because I feel like outside of Liv and what Rhea are doing on Raw, if you take away those two, Chelsea Green is the most polarizing and most interesting thing in this women's division, bro. What do you think in regards to her?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm actually right there with you, because I'm at the point now with her where everything she does is entertaining. And you need, and I know people talk about Cody and how he used to hold the belt like the old school way and all that, but when you really have people dive into believing what they actually do, that's what you get out of Chelsea. Chelsea believes everything she does. She had a great match with Michin. The dumpster match was great. Shout out to Michin too, who's actually, to me, one of those ones that she is slowly making a name for herself finally, and I know it took forever. But Chelsea Green has always been over. She would be like a sleeper Rumble pick for me, because I feel like this could be a time for her to truly win that title. And I could see her putting it all together and winning that title. Because you put a title on somebody as entertaining as her, that's not just entertaining on a show every week, but she's also very entertaining on social media. She's actually hilarious on social media as well.
Yes.
So you put all that together and let her character shine, and obviously not it having Matt Cardona being her husband. I mean, it just makes it that much more interesting. So I'm really high on Chelsea right now. She is one of the women that I'm truly like watching to see what they do with them next.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've been saying it too in regards to, I mean, I know she was in the Money in the Bank ladder match just this year, and I wouldn't have batted an eye if they would have given it to her, because of just how entertaining, like you said, that she is. And just how well she just taps into this character, right? It reminds me of people like a Bray Wyatt, to where like Bray Wyatt and his supernatural character, he, like, you can tell how invested he is into it, as well as with Chelsea Green. You can tell the effort that's being put into this character to make it feel just special and to feel organic. And she just does it so, like the little thing she hit like what does she hit? Like a sunset flip or whatever in that matchup against Michin. And her facial reaction, dude, was fucking priceless. She's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I did that."
Is it right?
It was so good, man. It's like the little things she does is great. And I do, yeah, and I mean, I do hope that she definitely gets a somewhat of a push or something in regards to that at some point, to where, yes, she does really well in this comedic act. Like, oh, it's Chelsea. We laugh at Chelsea because she's a clown. She's, I guess not really a said jobber, but just like that comedic act. Right. And hopefully if her stardom does continue to grow, I do hope that WWE does see that and they do give her that said ball at some point, but we'll see in regards to it. But much love to Chelsea Green. Before we do get into this next matchup, there was a segment that happened before the third matchup of this night. You had Triple H, because what is WWE nowadays without Triple H coming out with his fucking theme song and with his "Are you ready?" in every fucking promotional ad and commercial that you now come across in WWE. But that's neither here or there. So Triple H is out there, of course, continuing to hype up the crowd in Atlanta and everything. But he talks about Crown Jewel, and he introduces a new championship that is going to be crowned at Crown Jewel. And he reveals it. And the person that's going to win this championship is between both the said WWE champion and the World Heavyweight Champion.
Huh?
What? Why? Can somebody who's listening or watching tell me why? Because you guys know who the current WWE champion and World Heavyweight Champion is, right? You got Gunther and you have Cody. So let me get this straight. We are just throwing out a Cody Gunther match just because. Cool. Great. I just, guys, come on, man. Honestly, like, what are we now? Listen, to an extent, we get it. The business side of, with TKO and Endeavor and the relationship, the business relationship with Saudi. They've done this before too, Jalen. I think they did this with Shane McMahon in a tournament to where he went or won a trophy that he was the best in the world, and he had that shtick.
I forgot about that.
Right. They do this. They've done this a lot, bro. They've done this quite a few times. And now they're going to do this with this said championship. It's just like, guys, listen, I get it. I mean, for Saudi, okay, cool. Gunther and Cody, that may sound cool to the Saudi wrestling audience. But guys, why are we throwing out and rushing a match with Cody and Gunther? Like, why? To determine the best wrestler of the two. Like, why does wrestling nowadays, guys, have to be who the best technical wrestler is? When, again, these matchups, guys, let me whisper into this microphone. It's predetermined. These matchups are predetermined. Jalen, before we get into what happened afterwards, bro, your thoughts in regards to this championship.
So, two things crossed my mind with this. Is one, neither one of these guys can afford to lose right now.
Yes.
Gunther's just starting his reign, so this will be what his second. No, he hasn't had a title. Has he had a title defense since he's got the title?
I believe. Has he? Yeah. Who did he defend his title against? Who was it? That's gonna drive me nuts now because he won it against Damian Priest, and then who was? Actually, no. I think this might be.
I think this is his first.
I think this might be his first. I have to double check that maybe and see if I'm wrong. But yeah, I think this is his first. Yeah.
And he can't lose. Cody's obviously in the middle of the stuff that happened. We'll talk about that later on in the show. Talk about what happened with him. He's in the middle of all of that chaos over there. Neither one of these guys can afford to lose.
Right.
And also, what really got me about this, and this is probably the dumbest thing about it, because I know you point out the obvious stuff on the stuff a lot of times. You have Survivor Series a month later, where you could have done champion versus champion. Yeah. I have literally seen you guys teasing Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis, and who's the better GM all year. For you to take this stupid ass gold-plated diamond whatever championship that has no meaning to it whatsoever.
None.
And you're putting it on a show. And then not to mention the women are doing the same thing as well. And I do not want to see a Nia and Liv matchup. I just
Oh
don't.
my God, no.
If you believe that match is going to be great, you have lost your mind.
And we've seen it already before. We've seen it on Raw.
So it's like y'all could have saved this for another day.
Right.
This is I think where fans get impatient with Triple H and his booking, because why not introduce, and I know there have been rumors about like a women's mid-card title being possibly introduced.
Right.
Why have you not considered doing that at that point? You could have crowned them at Crown Jewel. It would have made more sense. But right now, you're throwing together a championship that they're probably going to carry for 2 weeks after the Crown Jewel event, and you're never going to see it again. You're literally never going to see the belt again. That belt is literally the equivalent to The Rock carrying the People's Championship round. Yeah. It's going to mean absolutely nothing.
Right. It's a gimmick championship, bro. That's pretty much what it is. And by the way, this will be Gunther's second title defense. His first was against Orton. That was at
it was.
Yes, that was at what the frick is the pay-per-view called? Bastion Berlin, correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That was the first title defense. So this will be Gunther's second title defense against Sami Zayn. Okay, yeah, bro. And listen, and like think about it too, bro. Like again, I always talk about Jalen like first impressions of two of your talents, your top talents going at it. Like that first impression, man, like matters to where if you see it once, it's just like, what else is there really much different that we haven't already seen from the first matchup? To where, if you want to do this again in the future, people are not going to forget, like, wait a minute, I saw this same exact match at freaking Crown Jewel. Like, what?
Right.
Like, what are we doing here? It's just like and again, think about these two talents, right? It's Cody Rhodes, right? The American Nightmare, this American hero going up against Gunther, the dastardly villain, right, from Germany, this foreign villain. Like, it reminds me like vibes of, again, a Hulk Hogan and the Iron Sheik in a way, to where how well that they built. Like, how do you fuck that first impression up? Like, why? Bro, and listen, we're going to get into another certain individual, bro, and we might as honestly well just kind of jump into it, and I'll kind of gel everything as we get into it. So Triple H introduces this championship. I'm fucking baffled, as I'm sure a lot of people are, in regards to the two people that are going to face for this championship. So Gunther comes out, and Goldberg happens to be at ringside. And of course, you remembering his promo against Bret Hart, talking about Gunther being his favorite over Bret Hart growing up as a wrestling fan. And he tells to Bill, it's like, Bill, it's like, I'll be honest, I meant none of those things. Like, he's like, hopefully your son is a better father than you will ever be as a professional wrestler. Dude, Gunther, like, listen, Joe, can I say this? Gunther, like, this new, like, again, it's still Gunther, like the ring general. He respects the good fight or whatever. But now it's like, it's times 10 to where, like, now he's like this bully. Like, it's like his shit doesn't stink. Like, he knows he's the best. He knows he's pretty much unbeatable. And he's going to insult you and your family and have a smile on his face about it. It was just so fucking good. So Goldberg ends up jumping the barricade, trying to get involved.
He kind of struggled to get over top of that. He did that barricade. The age was showing a little bit.
He did. You know, at the again, Gage, his son, and other family members were there with Goldberg. Goldberg again, he tries to jump the barricade. You got officials and security trying to hold him back. And like Gunther's like, listen, I got 3 minutes. Come on, let's do it. He's ready. He's got his he's got his suit. He's got all his sleeves rolled up. He's ready to go. But again, everybody's being separated apart. And then Sami Zayn comes up out of nowhere. Sami Zayn ends up attacking Gunther. They end up rolling up the rampway. Gunther ends up hightailing it up the rampway. So does Sami Zayn. And then Goldberg and Triple H were in the ring. They ended up, I guess, holding up each other's hands in unison or whatever. And that was pretty much the segment. So, Jalen, I'll be honest with you in regards to this right now. Goldberg for a while, ever since Vince McMahon was still pretty much running things in WWE, has wanted one more match, and whether that was in AEW, whether that was in TNA, wherever the fuck it is, WWE, wherever, he's been wanting one more match in pro wrestling. Now, I'll be honest with you, Jalen. This might be a hot take. People may not agree with this, but if you want a match for, let's say, Crown Jewel, right? And if you want to put Gunther and Goldberg in there for 5 to 8 minutes, I'm fine with that, because I would prefer that to where, yes, Goldberg obviously has to take the loss, and obviously Gunther has to go over, but I would rather take something like that type of exhibition than throw Cody and Gunther in there for a meaningless gimmick championship. You know what I'm saying? And listen, if people don't even want to see Goldberg in the ring, trust me, that's fair. That's honestly fair. But if that is what WWE wants, is what they are planning to do or interested in doing, and if you want to throw Gunther in there, then cool. Honestly, it's no harm, no foul. And again, it depends on how they do it and how they book it. I'm fine with that. But what I'm not fine with, guys, is you throwing out Cody and Gunther, a match that has the magnitude to be on a WrestleMania. Forget a Survivor Series or Royal. I'm talking a WrestleMania. And here you are wasting it on a gimmick championship that, like you said, Jalen, means nothing. So that's my take. Jalen, what are your thoughts in regards to Goldberg, this segment, and everything as a whole?
I think, honestly, the first thing that happened with that was, I think I got PTSD from all the other Crown Jewels Goldberg's been at.
Right.
Because you had the Bray Wyatt situation where he took the title off of him, The Fiend. Then you have the match with him and The Undertaker where he damn near almost broke The Undertaker's neck because he dropped him.
Dude, that was, bro.
So it's just like, I don't know what is up with the Saudi crowd and wanting to see Bill Goldberg. Maybe it's a nostalgia thing. But it's just like, he's not that guy from WCW or the early WWE days who you think he is anymore. He can't do that. Like I said, I watched him try to get over that barricade, and before he even got over the barricade, the whole security team was already down there. It took you a minute to get over that, and it happens to the best of us. It's okay.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I just don't feel like, because what it's looking like is, I'm gonna call my prediction on this one now, is he's going to cost Gunther at Crown Jewel, and they're gonna end up having that match at Survivor Series. And if you're giving me Goldberg and freaking Gunther at Crown Jewel, at Survivor Series, I'll be pissed. Because there are so many other people he could be wrestling right now.
So you're saying he costs Gunther the championship?
That would be the only way I could see that would work out.
Oh, dude, no. That can't happen. That's a botch if that happens, bro. That cannot happen. Listen, much love to Sami Zayn, and much love to him and Gunther, because I think that they've been telling their story very well as of late. But bro, Gunther can't lose that championship, bro. His second title defense. No, like, we just took the title off of Braun not too long ago with the IC title. Like, we can't, guys. No, absolutely not. Now, that, who knows, Jalen, when it comes to this company, nothing will shock me. Nothing, because it's Triple H. And listen, whether we like it or not, he is the son-in-law to Vince. So I'm sure he will still do, because of his relationship with Vince and because of Goldberg wanting this said matchup. At least, again, we've heard this for a while. He will do justice by that for Goldberg. But God, for the love of God, man, if that's what they do to take the title off of Gunther to get to a Goldberg-Gunther match at Survivor Series, what in the actual fuck are we doing? So, oh my God, man, that's I'm
hoping that I'm hoping that they just let it, if Goldberg does interfere, I'm hoping that they do just let him interfere at Crown Jewel to where neither title's on the line, so it doesn't hurt him. But I just don't want to see a Goldberg and Gunther match at Survivor Series. I just don't.
No, I'm sure you're not the only one.
They're already, Triple H is already only doing the 5 match card thing, which I'm not going to talk about the 5 match card thing. It is what it is.
You're right.
But like you said, that match is only going to be maybe 5 to 10 minutes long.
Right.
So it's not going to take up any time on the card. So now these other 4 matches have to over deliver because you wanted to give Goldberg his retirement match. Like, save that for WrestleMania when we got a 4-hour time slot to work with. Don't waste a Survivor Series when we're trying to build off. We're trying to build up PLEs to meaning more than what they should be.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's funny you mention what was it, Undertaker and Goldberg like years ago. I remember like the look, bro, on Undertaker's face. This dude was livid. Because obviously they had to call audibles. I think the matchup just was finished by just a choke slam. I think Undertaker delivered a choke slam and that was it. Undertaker ended up winning the matchup. But like, dude, like you said, man, that matchup from the jump was off and it was just ugly from the get-go. And Undertaker's face told the entire story, to like Goldberg getting himself injured, him almost breaking Undertaker's neck and almost injured. Like, bro, it was fucking horrible. And yeah, dude, and don't get me started with Bray Wyatt and that, bro. I still get pissed to this day because you guys know how much of a big Bray Wyatt fan I am. Rest in peace to that dude. I miss that dude to bits. Like, bro, I could not have been more frustrated because I'm like, there is no way in hell that they would have Bray Wyatt lose this at a Saudi show to Goldberg, right? Tell me that's actually not true. And the fact that I didn't even watch it live, I knew nothing about that going into it. And when I saw the replay of it, I couldn't hold back my frustration of how pissed I was. That was fucking horrible. Just to get to, what was it, Goldberg and Roman at the time? That was leading into, that was before the pandemic, to get to Roman.
It might have been Goldberg and Brock.
Or Goldberg and maybe Goldberg and Brock. I'm sure.
Yeah,
I think it was
off of him.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So again, man, that's just more bad memories that we don't need to go down towards. But so yeah, who knows what they do, man. I don't know. Was this a one-time thing? Because it's Georgia, Goldberg is from, I believe, the state of Georgia. So maybe this was like a one-time, oh, here's Goldberg. We all like Goldberg. He's in his home state of Georgia. So I don't know. Who the hell knows? I guess we'll know more as time goes on, I guess. But yes, Goldberg and Gunther Survivor Series. No, just if you want to do that, just
calling it right now.
Save that for the Saudi crowd that will eat that shit up to the high heavens, bro. Seriously. But anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to this next said matchup. Our next matchup was Finn Balor taking on Damian Priest. This was a very simplistic match. Of course, you had Judgment Day members Carlito and JD McDonough come out there to try to come to the aid of Finn Balor, but it was unfortunately to no aid, as Damian Priest would win this match with one. That's right, guys. One South of Heaven chokeslam, and Finn Balor is done. Damian Priest pins him in the middle of the ring, and Priest gets this W. I'll save it. I'll have you start, Jalen. Your thoughts about this match with Finn and Damian Priest?
This, I'm not gonna lie. This match and the next one that we'll talk about almost made me not want to watch the rest of the pay-per-view. The PLE, I'm sorry. If you can go back and look at any Judgment Day match and plug in any other Judgment Day member to that match against Damian and tell me that they didn't just have the exact same match.
There's no argument there. No. Right, yeah.
It almost reminds me of last year when, I think we talked about this on the show last time I was on, where they had that streak of the Judgment Day versus KO and Sammy, and they just did it for weeks on weeks on weeks as the main event.
Right.
That's what that felt like. As I watched that match, I was like, I've seen this before. There was no implications of like how we talk about how Drew and CM Punk went to the limits of hating each other. If you guys really hated each other like y'all said y'all did, to have this big reveal of I was the one that cost you the world title and I got Dom to go with Liv, this was so anticlimactic.
Yes.
Nothing made this more. It didn't amplify it any, and I don't know if they're trying to build to maybe Finn doing the demon personality again or something like that. That's what I'm hoping and praying they're doing. But he just lost that match, like you said, off of one South of Heaven. Damien took like 3 coup de grace in a row.
Right, kicked out.
And then kicked out, shook it off, and then hit a South of Heaven, and then the match was over. JD and Finn really didn't. JD and Carlito really didn't, they didn't really do anything. They just kind of got up on the ropes, got knocked off, and then that was the it. Like, for Finn, like, if that was your game plan into winning this match, it was like, what, like, you were like the New York Giants at that point. It was like there was no, like, this is the best you could put on the field for me right now.
Yeah. No,
and so I was just trying to figure out just what plan, because I saw them do the little huddle last Monday on Raw of, oh, we've got this glorious plan. But what was your plan exactly?
Dude, like this, I'll say one thing, man. Like, what I think, are they now called street trash, by the way? Because I've seen them wear street trash merchandise to where it says street trash. Like, yeah, like, dude, I'm serious. There was one Monday Night Raw, I saw them wear like t-shirts that said street trash. And I'm like, first of all, like, why? That's just one question. But, but like, man, listen, I don't, unless, like you said, if we're bringing back the demon character and maybe of having a second matchup, I don't know what we're doing, not just with this new Judgment Day group, but what we're doing with Finn Balor. It just makes like, dude, Finn Balor is fucking good. And I feel like I feel like we're wasting this freaking dude to where, like, there's times to where in this said faction, he feels just like a chump, and he lost so simplistically. Like you said, coup de grace after coup de grace, Priest kicks out, and then with one South of Heaven chokeslam, Finn Balor's fucking done. Like, what are we doing here? Like, it was a decent match. It was an okay matchup. Again, it was nothing different that I could have seen, like you said before in the past, as well as that on a Monday Night Raw or SmackDown. This just did not have a PLE vibe to me. And a really horrible finish to where it does not make Finn Balor look good at all, because now you're like, Finn Balor, okay, Priest, who's the face, he got his ultimate revenge and won this match. So you're thinking like, it's done, right?
Right.
So unless, again, we're doing the demon character at some point, and if they do that, Finn Balor has to win. Like, you can't bring back this demon character, because for the majority of the time since this demon character has been back, we could go back to when he fought Roman Reigns, when he's fought Edge at WrestleMania. This character has lost. So this character, like, has to start picking up victories like ASAP to make this demon character feel just as unique and authentic as it did in NXT, as well as when it first started in 2019 and beyond. So yeah, it's just for Finn Balor, man, the booking of Finn in this match, as well as the group overall. I mean, good for Priest. Priest looks great, but it was at the expense of Finn Balor and this group that I just did not sit well with me at all in regards to it. So yeah, just very underwhelming match. Again, it's a shame, because even at SummerSlam, right, just the turn itself, with the match between Priest and Gunther and Finn Balor's involvement was done so well. And even though at times this Judgment Day story has been consistent than others, right? I just want to be fair in regards to that. But then there's times to where, like, it has maybe not drag out, but I felt like we've seen pretty similar segments over the last several weeks on Raw, to where the baby faces jump in, they brawl, and then the heels retreat, or vice versa. The heels stand tall, the faces rushes to the ring, they get their ass whooped. To where there was one segment that, like, weeks ago on Raw that felt like really just authentic and really out of the box, was when I think it was the very first Monday Night Raw or two after SummerSlam, when they fought in the concession area, and there was a social media post where Liv Morgan is hightailing it, like, in the concession area. I'm like, dude, do you know what you could have done with that? Like, in the parking lot or in the streets or whatever town they're in, right? Like, you come back from commercial break and Liv Morgan is still hightailing it with the camera chasing her. Like, but then they go back to the ring, and then they kind of do, like, well, I don't want to say like, nonchalantly, but they all just meet back up in the ring. I'm just like, get away from the ring, man. Like, keep this away from the ring. You can do so much cool shit with, Dominic and Liv, like, let's say in a hotel room, right? And they're trying to do like some, what, and freaking Rhea and Damian invade that fucking hotel room, like some cool shit like that. And maybe that, and of course, we're going to get into the ladies' side of things with the Judgment Day, but that would be so cool to truly evolve this story, not just with Finn and Damian, but also with Liv Morgan and Rhea. But yeah, but I agree with you, bro. This matchup just didn't do much at all. I mean, yeah, it made Damian Priest look good, but why at the expense of Balor to lose so simplistically the way he did?
Right.
So yeah, man, this was just, again, another matchup that it wouldn't be out of the norm if this was on Raw or SmackDown, at least of how this came across or how this was performed. So, but anyway, speaking of the Judgment Day, let's get into the ladies' side of things. This was your champion, Liv Morgan, versus your challenger, Rhea Ripley, with Dominic Mysterio, Dirty Dom, hanging from a shark cage. Now, this wasn't above the ring. This was like above the like the rampway or like the outside. And then so they put Dominic in the cage. They came out in a what do you call those cars? A fucking
the lowrider.
The lowrider, yes. Dominic comes out in the lowrider. That was funny. I think one of the like staging crew kind of like botched it to where like he comes into camera and he's like, okay, you can go. Yeah. And I'm like, well, dude, come on, bro. you had one job, man. Like, it was very noticeable. Like, you see, like, okay, now it's time for you to drive in. Go. I'm like, you fucked up, my man. But it was pretty cool. Like the visual, like the vignette of them, like, arriving to the arena was cool. The lowrider, like Eddie Guerrero would use back in the day. So that was pretty cool. So anyway, so Dominic is hang high above in the shark cage. Match overall was decent. I mean, for the most part, they put on a decent performance at SummerSlam. And again, this was pretty much no different. But then the good stuff came along when Rhea and Liv went to the outside. They're pretty much right above the shark cage at this point. Dominic is watching all of it. The kid is like scared of heights, so he's like holding onto all fours and he's like on the floor. Thought that was kind of funny. So Rhea Ripley's taking out Liv Morgan to the outside. She's throwing him against the barricade. Dominic he somehow was able to unlock the cage door, like the shark cage door. So now his head is above, and for some odd reason, I guess there's like an ankle lock that gets stuck, and he ends up falling out of the shark cage, and now he's hanging above with the ankle brace or ankle lock on him, and he's hanging upside down. And then Rhea Ripley, and she goes over to the referee and she's like, listen, can you give me like a minute? I got some unfinished business here. She takes a kendo stick and she starts wailing this dude like a fucking piñata, like just annihilating this dude. And all of a sudden, wham, Raquel Rodriguez, that's right, a returning Raquel Rodriguez attacks Rhea from behind. She throws her, this is where it gets awkward. She throws her back into the ring, takes her out with her choke slam. I forget what she calls my apologies there. But she hits.
I know the name of it.
Is it Chikota bomb or something like that?
Oh, the Tahana bomb.
Tahana bomb. Okay, yeah. So she hits her with the Tahana bomb, pretty much a choke slam for the most part. And the ref. So apparently the match was already called off. I heard no bell, but apparently the match was called off, I guess, by DQ. But Raquel ends up putting Liv on top of Rhea to make the cover, and Elvishin's like, oh shit, the match is over, and she rolls her off of Rhea. It was very awkward. Now, there was a spot to where the referee, apparently, when he was never supposed to be on the outside, because Rhea Ripley was wailing on Dominic from the outside. The referee ended up coming down or up the rampway to stop Rhea. He was never supposed to do that, whenever I'm heard, because if you look at it, after Raquel Rodriguez attacks Rhea, the referee ends up walking back to his spot, like, oh, that's right, I'm not. And he walks back to the ring or back to ringside, like, oh, I didn't see nothing. And all of a sudden, but still, the matchup is called off. It was very poorly executed. It was really poorly executed. But Liv Morgan survives, I guess, and she still holds on to this championship. Now, is this the right call for Liv Morgan to walk out of this as still the champion? Yes, because I will say this, and we'll get to more of this botch that happened in this match and Raquel. Listen, and I know, again, shout out to my co-host Brian. I know he's mentioned about Rhea gaining back this championship because, you know, it's time for Liv Morgan to drop this championship. This was a more fitting way for Rhea to get back the championship. But guys, like Rhea Ripley, she's now made as this bona fide star, to where now you still have a lot more for Liv Morgan to do with this championship. And I still believe that there is still a lot more to do with Liv Morgan, not just with her, but also with Dominic by her side, as well as with Raquel Rodriguez. So there's still a lot more to go along with this said title reign that's going to benefit Liv just as much as Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley's going to be fine. With or without that championship, right, she's already a bona fide star as a face. And even if she won that championship, like Jalen, like, what do you do after that? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like what was Rhea going to do to where she's going to truly impact herself and that championship? Because if you remember her first title reign, it did not go very well. It was very underwhelming, and WWE either just didn't know what to do or it was just poorly executed, whatever it was. But if Rhea Ripley wins that championship, like, it's over. It's done. Like, Liv Morgan would have to go on her own, and yes, she wouldn't lose anything to a slight extent, but Liv Morgan winning this or coming out on top benefits her more than it derails Rhea Ripley not winning this championship, if that makes sense. So, Jalen, I know you got some things to say about this whole, at least, extracurricular activity and how it was executed. Your thoughts, man. Let it out. What are your thoughts about this?
I was just confused. I didn't know what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think we all pretty much knew that Raquel was coming back and was going to get involved somehow.
Yeah.
But I didn't understand the ending, if that was even supposed to be the ending. Like, because then what made it more confusing was after at the presser at the end, Liv came out and they basically announced her like she was the winner of the match. So I was very confused as to what was supposed to actually happen that didn't happen, and with whatever was supposed to happen, how did y'all deviate that far away from the plan?
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna. There were even a couple, and I don't know if it was maybe they didn't practice everything enough, but the stage crew had a lot of mess ups throughout the entire night. That seemed very confusing. I know I saw it. If you pay attention to it, when The Rock does come back, at the end of the night, you can see like the lights and like the Titantron already playing before the music even hits. Cody's music got messed up last night somehow.
Yes, In his entrance.
So, and like you said, with this match, it seemed like the ref didn't know where to be. You can kind of see the stage crew on the side kind of confused, like, I don't know what we're supposed to do here, but just keep recording.
Right.
Right. It was just like they were all over the place, and I don't know if they just lost the plot of what was supposed to happen. Even Raquel, like, having her like covering her, I was just like, what, the bell rung like 5 minutes ago. What's the point of that?
Yeah.
And then the bell rung at an awkward time. It just seemed like nobody, for that last, like, 5 to 10, like 5 minutes or whatever for that match, it seemed like nobody was in sync.
Nobody, no.
Even the match itself wasn't that memorable because Rhea was solely focused on Dom the entire time.
Yeah, right.
And it was like, are you trying to win a championship back, or are you trying to get revenge?
Yeah. I mean, beginning of the match, bro, like, she was like announcing, like, hey, lift him up. He's scared of heights. Like, bring him up. Like, right at the start, like, they kind of really emphasized that. Like Rhea was just more fixated on Dominic being up in this shark cage, at least for like moments in the match. But beginning of the matchup, like she was fixated, like, hey, lift him up, like lift him up. I want to see him squeal because he's scared. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because I agree with that. Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but you can't end this rivalry now because of how bad this match ended.
Mm-hmm.
If this match would have ended better, you could have been like, oh man, okay, this was a good conclusion to that. Rhea's got to go find her own way. I think people are still forgetting that Becky still has beef with Dom and Liv.
Mm-hmm.
So Becky could pop up at some point.
If she signs to a contract, I don't even think she's signed to a contract yet. That's another question. But I mean, you would still think that she's going to eventually sign something on the dotted line. Yeah.
Because I just don't see another going a year of Survivor Series and the Rumble with no Becky Lynch. Because even last year she got thrown into the War Games match at the last minute, and she got to think to get the pin over Damage Control, if I'm not mistaken. So Liv right now, they need to start building up some more women to face Liv.
Mm-hmm.
I would like somebody to clash with Rhea, like, hey, you done had multiple opportunities to get your revenge.
Yeah.
And you haven't gotten it. It's been 4 or 5 months now. You got to let that hate out your heart. You got to go find something else to do.
Right.
So if I get a program with like her and Raquel, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But I need Liv to have her own opponent right now.
Yeah. Well, dude, freaking, I mean, Selena Vega over on Monday Night Raw, dude, I remember some segments that they've been involved in during Rhea's absence. Like, they were in a promo segment, like on Raw. They had some really good chemistry with one another, man. That would be something, again, to give. So, again, Selena Vega, should she be beating Liv Morgan? Debatable, but it would be a cool opportunity, again, like I said about Naomi with the championship over on SmackDown. Like, use this to give Selena Vega a little bit of shine. And again, like I said with Naomi, catapult her to something, have a plan to where she comes out of this with something when it's all said and done. That would be, and that would, again, it would benefit both of these people. It benefits Liv because she continues this big title reign. She continues this heel run, and it benefits Selena Vega. Now you set her up something, whoever that is, I don't know. It depends on how you book it and whoever you place her with. But just the chemistry that I saw those two in on Monday Night Raw, like that, like you said, Jalen, for a new opponent, somebody like Selena Vega, that's it right there. Because, dude, she is so good, man. Not just as a manager, as a mouthpiece, bro, but she can actually wrestle in that fucking ring. She really can. So I don't know. Again, I am skeptical about how high this company really truly is on Selena Vega, as well as for Naomi too, like we mentioned earlier. So yeah, I'm fine with Liv winning this championship. I say it's the right call because I just think that Rhea, as of right now, is bigger than that championship. Liv Morgan, you still need to do. There's still a lot more you need to accomplish with Liv in this heel run and with that championship. And like you said, it was very unfortunate just with how, again, the referee didn't know where to be. Then that also messed up Raquel and her mojo. She didn't know what to do anymore. Just everything that could have went wrong went fucking wrong in the ending of this matchup. So it's unfortunate. And then Raquel, I think, is a good execution to continue this with Liv Morgan and Dominic and this whole tirade, but it is unfortunate how this was executed. And hopefully when they do fight again, because you would think WWE, they're going to try and go about this again and execute this again and then really end this on a positive note, if that makes sense. But anyway, let's finally get to the main event of this show. Your main event was, can they coexist? That is the big question. You have the Bloodline. You have Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu versus the team of Roman Reigns, the OTC, the original tribal chief, and your current WWE Undisputed Champion, Cody Rhodes. They had two big entrances. You had Roman coming out to a said choir like he did at WrestleMania. You got Cody Rhodes coming out with his skull mask, like his American Nightmare skull mask, and also with a marching band. I believe it was some local marching band in the state of Georgia, I want to say, or something along the lines. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm sure a local band in the state of Georgia that's facilitated in Georgia. I mean, a cool entrance, but I'm like, it's a little over the top. I'm like, are we in Bad Blood or is this WrestleMania? Like, that was kind of like, and they really drew that out for a really long time. And I don't know if it was because, it's Roman and it's Cody. They're side by side facing one another. So they wanted to make that feel special in a way by giving them glorified entrances. I thought that was just a little overkill, to be quite honest with you, because it's a bad, I mean, again, it's a Bad Blood pay-per-view. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I just found that over the top. I mean, the entrances was cool. I just think we could save that for another big stage for a more, yeah, exactly. The matchup itself, before we get into the juicy stuff, I mean, this matchup, like I mentioned with other said matches on this card, this could have been on a SmackDown. This could have been on Raw, and it would not have been anything out of the norm at all. This was a decent match for what it was. Everybody played their part. The Bloodline ends up taking advantage. They end up gaining the upper hand in this match with Roman Reigns in the middle of the ring. Cody Rhodes puts Jacob Fatu. He hit a splash to Jacob Fatu and went crashing through the announce table on the outside. Then we get back to the middle of the ring. You had Solo Sikoa. Again, he's gaining the upper hand over Roman. You got the Gorillas of Destiny who are out there. And all of a sudden, you see a dude with a hood over his head and like a handkerchief over his mouth. And then all of a sudden, like slowly but surely, Solo Sikoa is looking over like, who the hell is that? And all of a sudden, two super kicks, one for Tongaloa, one for Tama Tonga. And he takes off the hood, he takes off the handkerchief, and it is Jimmy Uso. Excuse me, I'm mixing up my Usos here. Jimmy Uso returns to WWE with that glorified grin on his face, staring back over at Solo Sikoa. Solo turns around after the slight distraction. Roman Reigns hits the spear, and Solo Sikoa's done. He's done, laying on his back, looking up at the lights for the 1, 2, and 3. And Solo Sikoa loses this match. Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, Roman and Cody, pick up the W in this matchup. You know, Jimmy Uso and Roman, they're reunited. They engage in this big old hug. And you also had Cody get back into the ring. They also had, this was afterwards, right? So Jimmy and Roman, they pretty much are walking up the rampway like, all right, cool, this is done. Let's go about our merry way. However, Gorillas of Destiny, they come into the ring. They start attacking Cody Rhodes as well as the rest of the Bloodline. And Jimmy Uso's like, dude, we got to help him out. And Roman's like, nope, this is a one-time thing. No, we're done. I'm not doing this. No, it's like, come on, dude. Like, we got to help him out. And Roman's like, all right, shoot, let's do it. And they go into the ring. They help out Cody. They clear the ring out. And then little bit of a moment between Cody and Roman. Roman hands back. He kind of glances at his championship, hands it back to Cody. So they have this little, I guess, respectful type of moment. Like, hey, I respect you. You respect me type of thing. And then Cody hoists up that championship when you hear, if you smell, it is The Rock. The Rock's music hits. The fucking crowd goes fucking nuts. Like you said, Jalen, his Titantron was already up before the music even played. But The Rock comes out there with that golden vest, that heel attire and all, with that Rock championship, that Brahma Bull championship. And he pretty much just stays at the top of the stage. And he gives that eyebrow raise, kind of like, again, giving off heel vibes. And you got, obviously, Jimmy Uso. You got Roman and Cody in the middle of the ring. I believe the Bloodline was like up in the crowd somewhere. So The Rock just stands there. He puts up a 1, 2, 3, and then slowly places his hand down, and then he goes, y'all are done. You know, the Bloodline couldn't get it done. And if you want something done, you got to do it yourself. And so Rock makes it clear that I'm back, and now so much bullshit, as Rock would say on his social media, has been going on for too long, for 6 months, and now it's time for him to step in and put an end to this charade, this little friendship with Cody and Roman and everything that's going on. And that was your show. The Rock walks back to Gorilla, and we go off the air. Jalen? No, that's a lot, but what are your thoughts, man? The match itself, Jimmy Uso, The Rock coming back. What are your thoughts, man? Let me hear it. The floor is yours.
The match itself was pretty solid.
Yes.
You can always kind of, and I got to give my props to Jacob Fatu, because listen.
Yeah.
You can tell that they're priming him up to be like that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I'm saying over Solo, like they want him to hang up there with the Codys and the Romans.
Mm-hmm.
And I fully believe that he can, because even with the promo he cut Friday night, as they walk into the ring, I'm just like, yo, this is a champion. Like, if they, and I know they don't want to just throw him into the world title picture straight up, but if he were to go after a guy like an LA Knight or something like that, it would be believable for me to see him take that title off of him.
Yeah.
More than it would a Solo Sikoa. No offense to Solo. Sorry, he's just not
right. No.
It, unfortunately. I did like Jimmy coming back. I like the spot. I'm not gonna lie, I'm tired of them goddamn black hoodies. I'm tired of it. I'm so sick of it. I'm so I give Joe Tessitore his credit for when after Punk won at Berlin and Drew came in and attacked him. I give Joe Tessitore his credit for saying that's Drew McIntyre in a hoodie. Just be straight up honest with me. You don't have to lie to me. I know what you look like. But I get it. It adds to the suspicion or whatever.
Suspicion, like that. You're right.
I do like that Roman still has that uncertainty of, he has it to me reflected on the fact that, brother, you caused a lot of hell. Like, you caused a lot of hell for the last 4 years for a lot of people. And some of that hell ended up catching up to Cody after the show. But like, so we'll get to that as well. Rock coming back, that was perfect for him. I think he was at the Apache High School, the school that had the school shooting last month.
Right.
And he was up at that thing at that football game to kind of support them. I liked it all. I liked the finish. I liked The Rock kind of telling him, like, I don't know what it is about The Rock and them damn promos on the internet, because I know he's not censored. It makes it so much better. And it just gives you that, like, that's that authenticity, I think, that we talk about with certain things. Whereas, like, if you want to show some emotion, because even as he's showing emotion, talking about how everything's bullshit, like you said, he sees the picture of Stone Cold. He's like, oh, yeah, that's Stone Cold. That's my boy. He sees the picture of Dusty, and he's like, I love you. You're my hero, but I hate your son. He tells John Cena, John Cena picture, says, go eat some Fruity Pebbles.
Fruity Pebbles.
Like, and this is as he's dapping up the crew and all the, like, the stage crew and everything as he's walking past them. Like, that is the kind of delivery where I am so glad that they have learned to, and I think this is one thing that Vince, I'm not trying to not to knock Vince as much as I probably have. They're involving social media with everything.
Yeah. Right.
And the power of social media truly helps build up these stories.
Yeah.
And like we said, because nobody knew about Kevin Owens and Cody getting beat up on by KO.
No.
Those were all fan cameras catching that. And people just posted on Instagram and Twitter, and it got passed around. So if that was a marketing skill by WWE, like, that's genius. Like, that's genius. Like, you go straight in from The Rock being on live, and then since we already know you're on your phone, paying attention to your phone, oh, look on Twitter now, it's a video of Kevin Owens beating up Cody Rhodes in the parking lot in front of his tour bus. It just all rolled together so well. I do see why they ended the night like that. I kind of still wish Punk and McIntyre would have ended the night, but if it was going to be any other match, it had to be that one. Like you said, the entrances were very drawn out. This might be a hot take. I don't like Roman's new theme. I don't like it. I've told
Yeah.
people because it doesn't. I get that it's just his old theme, just you kind of change the beat of it a little bit. Just keep the old one.
Yeah.
It sold so much more.
Agreed. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I get it. You're trying to change it up a little bit because he's a baby face now, but you didn't have to change that theme.
No.
That takes away from because even his entrance seems awkward. It seems like
Yeah.
he's just kind of there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know what my cue is to come out.
Right. Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
But then you got a guy like The Rock when he comes out and you hear that final boss music hit, and then you hear the tone shift into the old Hollywood Rock theme song. You just like this is presentation. Like this is what you want to see.
Yes.
I'm very interested to see what happens. I have a video actually I have to post a little later that I think that WWE as a whole is in the era of who can I trust? Because I feel like every rivalry right now is who can I trust?
Yeah.
From the bloodline thing with Cody, obviously KO and Cody right now. Randy's still a factor in all of this. And I got a video about Randy too. I got to tag you in, and I'm going to post it. It was just some thoughts about what's going to happen on Tuesday. The Woods and Kofi Kingston thing. Like everybody is in an era right now. Who can I trust? And I think that's great because it makes everybody. This is where you guys have to show who you are as individuals. You can't rely on, like you said, a Bloodline or a Judgment Day. Like you've got to truly be you. And I think this is where we're going to probably get the purest form of everyone wrestling. And I feel like this is the best time for The Rock to come back because if you want authenticity in the ring, you're not going to look any further than Dwayne Johnson. He may not give you the most spectacular match, but if you want some memorable moments in the match, he's going to make sure he give you the moments.
Yeah, no, I can't disagree with anything you just said. I mean, yeah, as far as again the match is concerned, and no doubt it's a shame for Solo Sikoa. It's really not even Solo Sikoa's fault. It's just how he's gotten here with that losing streak that he was on, and just being the fall dude. Even when after he defeated John Cena, I'm like, if this was your plan to get him into this position, can you make him win a fucking match? I mean, my God. It's just so we wonder, right? And we wonder why Jacob Fatu feels like a bigger star right now and more of a larger than polarizing figure than Solo. It's not even Solo Sikoa's fault. It's just how WWE has executed Solo's booking to this point. So that's number one. And again, Roman and Jacob Fatu, I can't wait for that freaking matchup. That honestly has intrigued me a lot more than Roman versus Solo one-on-one. Like I've seen Roman now spear Solo multiple times. He speared him when he returned him at SummerSlam. He speared him multiple times on SmackDown, and now here he did it in Bad Blood. Like what else do I need to see with Solo and Roman? Like he's hit him with this finish here. He's gotten his somewhat revenge. I guess like the ultimate revenge is the Una Fala, this necklace, I guess.
Yeah.
Which I guess is fine, but bro, Jacob Fatu and Roman, like that's the matchup, man. Like that's the matchup that everybody is more captivated to see. Not like, oh, that'll be cool to see. I'm looking forward to it. No, like I'm captivated to watch it.
Right.
You know, but yeah, the matchup for the most part, it was fine. But the only thing that was going to solidify or justify this being the main event and not Drew McIntyre and CM Punk was Rock coming out there. That was the only way that this would justify it. And they did that. Jimmy Uso was cool. I like the reunion with Roman and Jimmy. You know, that was a cool little moment there. Of course, Jimmy being the ultimate factor of this matchup. So that part's fine, but it was The Rock that was going to solidify this ending the show. And it does suck that, still to a degree that Punk and Drew did not end this match. Cause again, the main, what's the word I'm looking for? The main reason of this pay-per-view or of bringing back was Hell in a Cell and solidifying that first Hell in a Cell match from decades ago with Shawn Michaels and Undertaker and the debut of Kane during that time in 1997. So on that perspective, yeah, it's weird and it's unfortunate, but there was only going to be one person that was going to justify all of that, and that was The Rock coming back. He could have said nothing. I mean, he said nothing, but like he didn't even have to do anything. He could have just stayed up on the stage and just stared at the ramp from the stage to the ring, and they could have just went off the air. But obviously, of course, he does like the 3, 2, or 1, 2, 3 and puts his hand down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know, Jalen. Now, I'm hearing already a lot about a said triple threat between Cody, The Rock,
Oh my God.
and Roman.
I saw the graphic.
That. Guys, please do not. We went through this last year, bro. The Rock and Roman needs to be one-on-one. It should not be that fucking hard to do. Please. Triple H, listen, I know, listen. It doesn't, and right, it doesn't even need a title to begin with, right? I mean, Cody and Rock, cool. If you want to do that, that's fine. But don't throw all these motherfuckers together, man. Like, listen, Triple H, I know I criticize you for justified reasons, right? And I don't think you're that much of an idiot, but please, if you actually do this, this would go beyond that. Like, you would be a fucking moron to actually do this. So hopefully that's not the case, and hopefully that's not teasing that. At least for the near future, I don't know. At least that's just from what I've heard from social media. I just hope that that's not the case. And now, so that's that. And it's great to see The Rock, and it does get you excited for maybe if he does get involved with Survivor Series, or maybe he does something else getting involved, maybe getting involved after the matchup at Survivor Series. I don't know what it's going to be. As you know, there's War Games, potential War Games matchup. And now I get to Kevin Owens and this turn. Now, a lot of people, Jalen, as I'm sure you've already heard, is that people are like, why did you do this turn not on television? Why wasn't this on TV? And listen, the thing is with Kevin Owens, listen, I'm very mixed about this because for number one, you can honestly also say it's kind of long overdue at this point to where they've teased this for a while. They went through a face versus face matchup just for the sake of face versus face to do the tease. I thought that was very anticlimactic. But then it's like what you said about some of these stories, right? Like, and this is where I also am very mixed about it. So where it is cool to be like, oh, who can I trust, right? Can I trust this person, that person? Is it just me, myself, and I type of thing? The thing is, though, with that situation, Jalen, is that when you do that type of scenario with everybody, it's not as special because you're right. That's exactly what WWE is doing. You see it with the New Day. You've seen it with Judgment Day. You've seen it with the Bloodline. You've seen it with Tiffany and Nia Jax. You now are seeing it with Cody Rhodes and Roman in this tag match. Like, can I trust this dude? So to where like how like it's kind of like what we say about matches all the time, right? It's like, what else about this story and that story that's truly different from one another? That's something that I haven't seen before, if that makes sense, right? So to where nothing stands out, right? Because you still want these feuds and these matchups to stand out, and it's hard to do that when everybody is collectively doing the same thing. So that's one thing. Now, let me get to Kevin Owens in this turn. I really want Randy Orton to turn heel at some point, bro. I really do. Because that, man, it's just for Cody's sake and this title, I just think it's needed. And I don't know if they're waiting on Netflix and maybe for a bigger stage for them to do this Orton turn. And maybe Orton has something to do behind all of this with Kevin Owens. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if with Kevin Owens' sake too, to that degree, like for Kevin Owens to not think for himself, like, oh, this is all Randy Orton's doing. I don't know if I believe something like that when it comes to Kevin Owens. So I don't know if that's the way we're going to go. But for Kevin Owens, and like you said about social media, which I agree, I do like with The Rock and with a lot of other people using social media as part to tell a story, which people should, right? Whether it's just a normal person just tweeting on like a Chelsea Green, right? Being in character on her Twitter page, or The Rock, like with his Instagram lives and his Instagram posts. You know, he did the whole what was it, WWE, or I think it was The Rock too. They posted a video of like his camera crew cutting that segment to where he took out Cody Rhodes backstage outside of his truck or his van. And it was him like, hey, like just because the show's over doesn't mean that the shit stops, right? And that was so fucking good, man. But yeah, it's little things like that to where anything can happen, right? Like anything, even on social media, like there's always something going on and it feels real, right? Like, and I've been itching for this for a while. I know I'm going for a very long time with this. My apologies, but I love when wrestlers to where, yes, you know, times are different with kayfabe, right? I mean, because without kayfabe, bro, there's no fucking professional wrestling. I don't give a fuck when anybody says if there is no kayfabe in wrestling, wrestling is legit dead, and that's just the fact. So the fact that we are using social media to a degree to tell these stories, I think is great. And for Kevin Owens' sake, I do like, to a certain extent, I actually don't mind this turn being on social media or being from a crowd's perspective, because we've seen so many types of heel turns from Kevin Owens. And if you were to do this turn with Kevin Owens on TV, then are you just going to do the same thing with Randy Orton months later? Then how is that going to be any much different? So I think that could be what they want to do, to where let's just do this on social media, right? And then have Orton's turn whenever that happens to be more diabolical, to be more vicious, and on WWE TV, that's going to create headlines, and that's going to make people want to watch the next week with Orton and Cody and whenever that starts. So if that's the case, I'm all for it. So because the thing is that my fear with Kevin Owens turning is that if you're going to turn KO heel and then turn Orton heel, like in the span of a few months, like what's going to be different within those two turns? But the fact that you did this unexpectedly on social media, and who knows where this goes, it was long overdue, honestly, to be quite honest with you. And listen, Cody Rhodes needs some fucking heels. He needs something else. He needs to get away from this bloodline story. Me and Brian have said that for weeks now and for quite some time. And so, and that's all I got, honestly. I mean, I still need to wrap my head around this whole thing, but in the moment, I am mixed feelings about it, but to a certain extent, I don't mind it, because it helps Orton's turn in the future to be that much more diabolical and that much more vicious to when he does it. If he does it, I don't even fucking know. So that's the case. But so Jalen, with all that said, I know that was a lot to take in. What are your thoughts in regards to that?
So I'll go ahead and say it before I'll post my video about it later. What I think is about to happen is I think that Orton is you're going to see him slowly turn. What I would like to see is, with that match that he has with Javon Evans on Tuesday on NXT,
right.
I would like to see him where he kind of shows like he's about to tap back into that old side. Like maybe Javon's like on his hands and knees, and then Orton like maybe sets up to like do the punt. And he just kind of like stops himself from doing it, because he's starting to kind of realize, like, one, these younger guys, I've been going for so long, these younger guys are way above me. Like they're past me. Like, this is a whole new era of wrestling. But it also shows that I still have that side tapped into me.
Right.
Like, I have to remind myself, because I just lost to Gunther. I lost at Mania. And it's just like, how many more times can I keep losing matches as this nice guy that everybody loves, but do I love that for myself?
Right.
How does and then you have John Cena, who's getting all this praise about coming back for this, return tour or whatever he's going to do. And it's just like me as Randy Orton, it's like, where does that leave my legacy?
Yeah.
Everybody's so focused on John. Everybody's so focused on Cody and the bloodline. And meanwhile, I'm getting left behind. So I think that they should slow burn it. And I would just put him in maybe a small feud with just somebody, and just kind of slowly see him tap back into that Viper, that you could even turn him into that old legend killer. if you'd want to.
I'm all for it.
And just use that to try to get him to get to that next level. Because then yes, you just have Cody and KO going on, and KO is finally snapped. But now you truly have Randy, who is like the ultimate like villain in this story.
Yeah, no, and the thing is too, like, I mean, Orton hasn't won a single PLE match since he's been back. That's number one, which is freaking insane, by the way. But also, like kind of like you said, in regards to it's just like everybody's talking about Cody, everybody's talking about this and that, everybody's excited about this new generation of talent, right? This like the flavors of the months, like a Jacob Fatu and others, and like here I am, and I've said this weeks ago about Orton in this turn and what you can do, like. And even with Kevin Owens, like, oh, here you are defending people or fending people like Kevin Owens, giving him a title match. And here I am. I have to go to Monday Night Raw and go after a Raw exclusive championship. Like, you're choosing Kevin Owens over me, somebody who, you know, I mold you and introduced to this business. If there wasn't, it wasn't for me, who knows if American Nightmare even exists? You know what I'm saying? Like doing something like that. And, you know, as many times as I've tried to, you know, be there for you and stuck my neck out for you, I got nothing to show for it. So however they do it, bro, I just wish that, and who knows, because of The Rock, because you can argue like Orton and Cody, like that's also a mania, not just a match, a feud, because what you can tell with Legacy and what you can tell with the Rhodes family and the Orton family and everything in regards to their history. So, but then you, of course, you have The Rock, to where Rock stated before he left, man, he was coming after Cody Rhodes, and there's already been rumors with Fightful and others that it's going to be Cody and The Rock at WrestleMania. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting what they do. I just hope that whenever that turn happens for Orton, because like it's got to happen, because I know how much we like Orton as a baby face, right? He's giggling, he's smiling, he's having a good time, right? And he's, you know, pandering to all the other stars in the back and trying to put them on the map and such. That's not Orton, man. That's not Randy Orton. That's not the Randy Orton that we know and that we were captivated and polarized by for so many years. And it's time, it's now or never at this point, Jalen, to where we gotta now amplify Orton's character back to that Viper, that heel persona, because if it's not now, when is it going to be? You know what I'm saying? Or at least not now, but at least moving forward in the near future. If it's not up until that point, when is it going to be? Because we know Orton, and he's not getting any younger. We already know he's got all these multiple injuries, you know, with his neck and with other nagging injuries that he's had in the past. It's now or never, bro. And now is the perfect opportunity, at least moving forward, to do that. So with Kevin Owens, I don't know where that's going to lead to. I guess it's going to gain attraction going into SmackDown, I guess, to see what Kevin Owens is going to do. So we'll see. As overall, this pay-per-view, as we'll wrap things up here, if I had to sway one way or the other, I thought this, because of The Rock and his appearance and how this show went off the air, as well as, I guess, the Kevin Owens turn to kind of tease that after the show. And of course, you have the Hell in a Cell match, which honestly was, like you said, match of the night. It's honestly not even close, as we knew it was probably going to be. I'd still put this swing as a decent to good show. Honestly, I think there was a lot more good than there was bad in this show. You know, and again, for Nia and Bayley, they were just, at the end of the day, those two were kind of put in an unfortunate spot. Whoever was going to be put in that spot was going to just have that nagging effect because it was right after the Hell in a Cell match. But overall, I think this was a pretty decent to good pay-per-view still. And you can thank the Hell in a Cell match, and you can thank The Rock. Those are honestly the two people that you could thank, or portions of this show. But Jalen, final thoughts about the show before we end things.
Overall, a solid show. I wish, because with this being the return of Bad Blood, that I'm trying to think the best. I've been trying to think of the best way I could say this. I wish the hate that each superstar was supposed to have for each other in each match was a little bit higher. I wish the intensity was brought a lot better.
Yep. The amplification was turned up a little bit more.
those 3 matches in the middle, it just didn't seem like you genuinely like hated each other. And I know you talk about keeping kayfabe alive, we don't know, but you guys literally gotta show like like I don't like you, you don't like me. Like there's no reason why Damian and Finn didn't have a point where they were just throwing hands with each other. Because if you cost me my first world title, and for Finn, I never got to get my world title back because you kept interfering with your briefcase. Liv and Raquel, Liv and Rhea, like Rhea, if you were that hurt, you should have been trying to beat the hell out of Liv.
All right.
Nia and Bailey. I kind of wanted to see Nia get a little physical with Tiffany to kind of build up that heel heat for Nia. Just instead of just sitting up, like getting up and like even if she would like threw her out the ring.
Yeah. This was kind of the same. It was kind of the same tease that we have seen over the last several weeks. To where I mean, she put her hands on her last SmackDown, to where she was like holding her by her neck, like if this ends badly for me, it's going to end badly for you. At least like a shove or something. Yeah, no, I agree.
Make her that like you said, that queen, that heel.
Yeah.
The main event was good. I mean, I liked it. I liked the matchup. I liked the ending. I am very interested to see what's going to happen over the next couple months, because I know we have the Crown Jewel, Survivor Series, and then I guess you kind of go on a Rumble after that, or Saturday night main event.
Saturday night main event. Yep.
And then you go on a Rumble. So it's just like we got this. This is that crunch time where if we're gonna build up something, this is the time we got to build it. And then you have John Cena coming back in January. It's like something got to shake.
Yeah,
but I was satisfied with it. Like I said, I wanted to see a little more hate. I wanted to see, and maybe we've been kind of spoiled with the Punk and McIntyre and like the Hangman and Swerve feud, where you can like feel the hate, even though they got great chemistry. You can feel like they're putting their all into it. I just didn't feel like some of these guys put their all into these matches. It just kind of felt like it was like all right, let's go ahead and have a match. Let's go ahead and do our 15 minutes and let's keep pushing.
Yeah. No, that's very well said too, man. Like now moving forward with The Rock pretty much back, and now with Jimmy back in the fold, right? And all these people, like now is the perfect opportunity to execute this going into Mania season, because we're not too far from Mania season and close to Netflix at this point. Like this is the perfect opportunity to execute this momentum, right? I always talk about momentum and I always talk about viewership, right? So where, obviously they're in a hard spot with, Monday Night Football being back. And of course you got MLB playoffs and everything, but now with Mania season looming, like give people a reason now with The Rock back and others for fans to really be engaged and give them a reason why they should lead into WrestleMania being engaged with whatever said feud, whatever said matchup that's going to take place. So it's now or never, bro. That's a very, very good statement. It's now or never to execute it. And hopefully that momentum builds going into Monday Night Raw tomorrow night, I should say. But Jalen, thank you so much, bro, for tuning into this show, or for joining me on this show. I appreciate you, man. It's always a pleasure to have you. Of course, if you guys are listening or tuning in, make sure you guys follow Jalen on TikTok and Instagram and all of his social medias. They will all be down in the description box down below for you guys to go check him out. Of course, this ain't the first time Jalen's been on this show, as I'm sure he'll be back many more times, as he has been a tremendous supporter to our community as we are towards him. So again, Jalen, appreciate you, my man, for being a part of this show, being a part of this review show. This was WWE Bad Blood. Again, shout out to Brian Thomas, my co-host. You will see him once again back with me on Thursday. We will talk about Monday Night Raw, how everything goes down tomorrow night. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. And of course, you see the banner down below. Make sure you guys follow us on Instagram and TikTok. That is Ruthless_Talk. Again, once again, thank you everybody that has reached us to 2,000 followers on TikTok. And we are very close now to 1,400 on Instagram. So make sure you guys spread the word, continue to like, follow, all of that stuff. And thank you guys so much for the support, and stay tuned for more content to come. Content to come. It is very late, guys, on a Sunday night, so I apologize if I've been stuttering this entire time. But once again, thank you guys. Can't thank you guys enough. Jalen, any final thoughts before we end things?
Hey, man, thank you for having me, man. I hadn't been on in a while. I kind of got away from the wrestling content for a little bit. Just kind of took a break for me. It was a lot going on in the wrestling community, a lot of negativity, and I was just like, I had to take a break from it.
I feel you, bro.
I got back into it, man. I'm back on it. So you guys said follow me on all my platforms. Make sure you guys follow these guys too. Brian, I got to catch you next time be on here, man.
For sure.
Well wishes to whatever you do have going on. Man, this is a great podcast. Y'all guys got to keep listening, man. Just keep listening and tune in. It's gonna be the talk that you don't want to hear, but you need to hear.
Yes, there it is, right there. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. And again, once again, check out Jalen Johnson and his stuff as well. Of course, when it comes to me and him, man, we pretty much have a similar type of viewpoint when it comes to wrestling, right? You know, we'll always call out the good. We'll always criticize something when it needs to be criticized, but it never takes away the enjoyment that we do have for wrestling and that what we've been watching wrestling forever. But when it's time to criticize something and be honest and call it like it is and the facts and everything, we will not hesitate to do such. So Jalen, I just want to thank you for, acknowledging that and seeing that for what this podcast is trying to do. We're trying to accomplish. So thank you. And once again, if y'all want to check out Jalen and his stuff and his social media, check out the description box down below. That is going to do it, y'all, for this episode. This was a Bad Blood review, Bad Blood 2024, and that is going to do it. My name is James Porcelli. Alongside Jalen Johnson, we are signing off, saying salute. Peace out, and take care, everybody. Top guys, out.